Hi everyone, this is Rebecca Polmateer, team leader for the Family and Consumer Sciences program area for Cornell Cooperative Extension of Columbia and Greene counties. Now that we are a month into schools being shut down due to COVID-19, we thought it might be a good time to just kind of reach out to families and discuss kind of some tips and tricks that have seemed to work for people during this month of homeschooling. Therefore, and then you can kind of start incorporating some of these if you're not already doing them. So number one, you've probably heard again and again, but we like to bring it up because it's actually a really good suggestion. And that is to keep some type of routine or schedule. So, still have a bedtime, maybe let the kids sleep in a little bit, but not all day. Maybe have a start time to the day. So say you can sleep until 8:30, but 9 o'clock we're going to start schoolwork, or say that schoolwork has to be done by 4 o'clock p.m. Whatever it is, figure out what works for your family and kind of keep them on track. Kids thrive on routine, and right now is not the time to be just kind of letting them go as they care to. It can actually increase anxiety. Two, do not compare workloads between children. Unless your friend's child is in the exact same classroom, has the exact same teacher, chances are the expectations are not going to be the same. So if your friend's child is reading Shakespeare, it doesn't mean that's what your child should be doing. Concentrate and only worry about the expectations that your child's teacher has set for right now. That's all that matters, because at the end of the day, they kind of have already worked out a virtual curriculum, what they are expecting, and that's what your child is going to be held to. Check in with your child's school at least once a week. Check the website for updates. And remember, every school is different and handling this differently. So just again, because your friend's school is doing one thing does not mean the school your child attends to is doing the same thing. So if you are keeping track of what your school is doing, you won't miss anything, like a homework packet drop off. Keep in touch with your child's teacher the way they have asked you to. For example, I have a kindergartner. Her teacher is using Class Dojo, and that's what they want you to use to get a hold of them. Maybe your child's teacher wants you to email them. Maybe they gave you their phone number to text. Whatever it is, that's the way they plan on communicating with you, so that's what they would want. But do not be afraid to reach out to them. They're still here. They still care. They still want to be teaching your children. So they are available to answer questions or give help if you don't understand an assignment. That's what they are here for. Just make sure you're thanking them, because they're working hard and this is very hard on them as well. Clearly outline your expectations with your child and make sure they match your child's teacher's requirements. So if one of your expectation is that your child read at least 20 minutes a day, if the teacher's expectation is 30 minutes, you're not really going to be hitting those. So make sure they align, but make sure you let your child know what you expect of them in terms of schoolwork, and break this down. Make it easy for them to manage. Make a chart, make a list, maybe even make it so they can stick a sticker as they finish things off. That way they can see what they've done, what they've accomplished, and what they still have to do. If they're scheduled for virtual instruction time, so if their teacher has set something up so they can get instruction, make sure that you have set a schedule for them. Hang it up somewhere. Make sure they know at 10 a.m. they need to be online so they can do a study group with their teacher and friends. And don't think that they're going to stick to it just because you hung it up. Be prepared to give them like 5-minute reminders. Remember, in 5 minutes you have to be online, and make sure they are there. This is in place of school attendance, so their attendance is required and expected. Remember through all of this that schools do not go from one end of the day to the other without breaks. If your child is used to breaks from book work, make sure they are still receiving that at home. What do I mean? Recess, lunch, snack time, art, music, those times that they get away from their desk and do something else, they should be doing that as at home as well. If during the course of the day they are not sitting for 3 hours straight doing book work, they should not be doing that at home. They will get burnt out. It'll make your life a little bit more difficult. Set up some type of separate space for your child if you're trying to homeschool. This does not have to be fancy. It does not have to be elaborate. And when I say separate space, it does not mean it has to be in a completely different room. If the only space you have is to set up a TV tray in front of the couch or a bed, that is fine. Just make sure they have a space that is theirs to work on, and this is the space they're going to when they're going to be doing schoolwork. If you cannot remove them from other people, so for example, it has to be in the living room, their workspace, make sure you're removing as many distractions as possible so that the environment is welcoming for them to complete their work. What do I mean? Well, if it's in the living room and you're in there, shut the TV off. Sometimes, as parents, we have to make sacrifices. And if that means we have to watch TV in a different room or maybe read a book instead, that's what we're going to need to do. Do not expect any child of any age to be doing this on their own, including teenagers. You can't say, okay, you should know what your school's expectations are. You go ahead and do them. That's not the way this is going to work. Even the most motivated, scholarly student will have trouble with this. This is unusual. This is not the norm. Therefore, you should be checking in with them at the very least. If they're supposed to be doing work every half hour, just peek your head in and go, are you online? Are you doing work? Younger kids sit side by side with them. It's going to be hard for them. They're going to be distracted. So you might have to be right there while they're doing it. Remember, in the end, as parents, it is our responsibility to make sure they are getting their work done. This is a time to take schoolwork just as seriously as you would any other time. It is easy to get into the space of they're out of school, this is not the same, let's just let them be. But that's just going to put your child behind. There are expectations during this time. They are expected to still be learning, to still be completing their education. So it's up to us now as parents to make sure that is happening. And also remember, most schools, if they haven't started already, are checking up on the work your kids are accomplishing. They're having online tests, they're collecting packets of schoolwork, they're making sure that there's some kind of accountability during this time. If your child is not doing these things, it's going to be just like if they weren't doing their homework or taking good tests at school, they might fail, they may get held back. This will end eventually, and you don't want your child so far behind that they cannot catch up. Don't let a couple months now ruin their future education. Please be as encouraging as possible to kids. Yes, this has represented a huge disruption in everyone's lives, including parents. None of us ever expected to be homeschool teachers. Some of us are still trying to work, or we have other concerns and worries on our mind. And now, throw on to this, we're expected to be our child's teachers. And trust me, even in kindergarten, some of the work I don't even completely understand. But your child's life has just been as disrupted as yours has. They have some of the same anxieties and fears as you're having. So make sure you're carving out time to talk with them, to say, you're doing a great job, this is hard. Sometimes mommy gets frustrated, but yes, you are doing awesome, you've got this, we are going to get through this together. One of the big pieces they're going to be missing with this is socialization. School is a great time for your kids to make friends, to learn how to make friends, to figure out what's the right way to be talking with people. Therefore, try to keep them in touch some way with their friends. Have them have a pen pal, write back and forth. If you have the ability to, have them Zoom or video chat, FaceTime, whatever with their friends, so they still get that chance to see their friends face to face without actually being face to face. Now is not the time to have strict rules about video chatting or screen time. If you are concerned about cyber safety, which obviously you should be, make sure you're in the room with them. Make sure you know what they're doing, what they're using. There's no problem with you observing these conversations for safety, but make sure they're still having them. Try to build in some fun extra activities that they can do with you. Maybe that'll be the treat. Use this as an incentive. You know, if you get your sheets completed today, then later we can do a fun science activity that I found. We can let the kitchen get a little messy. We'll build a little volcano, whatever it is. It can be educational and fun. There's lots of resources out there for this. One that I'm going to recommend is actually our website, ccecolumbiagreen.org. If you go to the 4-H section, there's a whole list of programs and videos and science experiments and things like that that you can utilize for this purpose. Most of all with this, give yourselves all a big pat on the back. We're a month into this. This has probably been one of the most difficult, challenging times you've ever had with your children. None of us expected to be homeschooling teachers, having to be worrying about these types of things. And you've done it for a month, which is a pretty fantastic thing. So give yourself a hand. And remember, no parent's perfect. None of us have all the answers. These were just some tips and tricks that might work for you. And don't be afraid to try something new with your family and figure out what works best. At the end of the day, make sure your child's work is completed, they're meeting all their requirements, and that you guys had a little fun with it. So thank you guys so much for your time. Stay as safe as possible, and we will all get through this together. Thank you. Bye.